Hey everyone, it's Amanda, and we're here for another episode of Founders Files, where we go behind the scenes in my crazy life as a founder and all the sort of weird things I do day to day. I'm so excited today to be here with Mary Heffernan, a fellow founder. She founded Five Mary's Farm in California, and she came out from her ranch to do some cooking with us and to do some planning for her series, which hopefully you have already caught. It's called Raised on the Ranch, where she brings us behind the scenes of her life on the ranch. You want to tell us what we're making today?
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here to cook in your kitchen today. We're making my rancher's pie, which is a variation of shepherd's pie that's usually made with lamb. We use our ground beef that's raised on the ranch. It's a good hearty meal, one of my husband's favorites. So
awesome. I can't wait to learn about it. And I also noticed that there's a secret ingredient, which we're not going to reveal just yet, but we will soon. I would love to just be your helper in the kitchen, so you just tell me what to do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we've got some potatoes here. We're just going to cube these up and boil them in water.
For lazy viewers like me, you don't have to peel them. Is that what you're saying?
I like the rustic potato.
Yeah.
You know, it saves a lot of time, but
yeah,
it makes a nicer presentation when you peel them.
Okay, so should I peel and you chop?
That's perfect.
Okay,
you want
awesome.
to peel, I'll chop, and then I'll get some water going in this pot.
That sounds great.
All right, we'll turn this water on, get it boiling.
So you just do kind of like medium chunks?
Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of cube them up so that they'll soften in the water.
Okay.
And then we're gonna mash them afterwards.
So do you salt your water, or do you?
I do. I usually wait until it's got a little rolling boil before I salt it.
So we put the garbage right where you chop so that you can just go whoop.
Nice.
Yeah. Very pleasing.
That would be our chicken bucket on the ranch.
Oh yeah? So is it like chicken parts or something?
Chicken, well, scraps to feed the chickens.
Oh, scraps. Oh, got it.
Yes.
Okay.
My youngest has her own little flock of chickens. We had about 500 chickens when we moved to the ranch, and they just like run wild all over the place. And now my daughter kind of has her own little mini flock that she collects eggs from. And we did an experiment because she thought if we fed the chickens hot peppers, it might make the eggs spicy. It didn't. No.
Did it color the yolks at all, or is there anything?
They probably gave them a little bit more color. But the interesting thing is chickens can't taste spice. They can't taste any heat.
Oh.
So you could give them the spiciest peppers and it
wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think I can add some salt now?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not going to measure. Is that okay
with
you?
No, I'm not a measurer.
All right. Okay. I salt my potato water like I do pasta water, so that it kind of like seasons.
Salty like the
sorry,
sea?
I'm going rogue. I'm just doing that. I hope that's okay with you.
That's great.
What I always do is I put a lid on, and then I forget, and then it boils over. But it gets it going. This is part of the Heston collection. Do you know the Heston pans? So these are all Heston pans. Yeah, they're a California company also.
Yep.
And this is this like kind of universal lid, so it can fit. You know, you can put it on there. You can put it on here. It just kind of adapts to whatever. Chefs love
drawer
these.
Space, thanks you.
Yes, exactly. And I don't know, you want to feel it? It's like nice and sturdy.
Oh yeah, I know. I love the copper Hestons. They're so pretty.
They cook really, really well, just because their pans are made super well. The handles are like really beautiful and silky and like nice to hold.
All right, we're gonna get started on the filling. So we're gonna start with 2 tablespoons of butter and put those in nice and melty in our pan.
Okay, great.
And then
you want a nice kind of, this is like a 12-inch skillet, right?
Yeah, and the high sides is nice because we kind of get plentiful with this. Do you want to chop an onion, and I'll chop up these carrots?
I sure do.
And then we've got some celery, and we're gonna mince some garlic.
Okay, and is this sort of a rough chop?
It's a rustic rough chop, very forgiving. We don't even need to peel these carrots. This recipe is really easy and kind of an anything goes. I feel like it sounds a little intimidating because there are 2 steps with making the mashed potatoes and making the filling, but honestly, I'm always so thankful when I make this because it does come together really easily, really quickly, and it's good for like a meal plus some leftovers.
So I feel like your kids do so much like around the ranch and stuff. Do they also cook? Are you teaching them? Yeah,
they do. You know, we moved there 10 years ago and they were little. They were 1, 3, 4, and 5.
Oh my God.
And we went from living in the city and doing things for them like fill their sippy cups and make sure their lunch is made. Then we moved to the ranch, and my husband and I would be out there pulling cattle and like in the rain, having to help a new mom birth a baby, and we just look at the kids like, you have to make dinner. I'm like, okay. So they started small, peanut butter and jelly, and then all of a sudden they're little chefs. Potatoes are boiling.
They're boiling, they're doing their thing. This is melting, but I'm gonna turn it up.
Onions in the pan.
Okay, do you think we need a little more butter, or what do you think?
Always need a little more butter.
I think so. There we go. Okay, great. It's a nice big pan. You just want the bottom covered with butter, right?
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. Enough to absorb into those onions.
Okay.
Left.
Are we just kind of softening them until to kind of bring out the flavor?
Yep.
Oh, celery. Got it.
And then this is our spice blend.
Okay.
Our classic 5 Mary spice rub.
Nice.
I like to add a little in as we're softening those onions.
Awesome. What's in there?
It's a mix of my favorite salts.
Can I smell it?
Yes. So it's a good, like really flaky Maldon salt plus some kosher salt. And then red pepper flakes, thyme, rough cut rosemary, and some Malabar black pepper.
Oh, I love that kind of pepper. That's so great.
Good. So it's kind of everything that I would always go for in the kitchen that we just made into a spice blend. And we pretty much use it on all of our meats, avocado toast, eggs, whatever you're cooking, that's our go-to.
You had kids from ages 1 to 5. You decided to move them. Just move, period.
Hold up chalks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what were you thinking?
I don't really know. We bought the ranch thinking that we could do both. You know, have our busy, like, entrepreneurial business lives, have the kids in school in the Bay Area, and then go up to the ranch on the weekends and raise cattle for really good quality beef that we would then supply our own restaurants. Seems like a great plan. Very naive, thinking that we could do both. And we just quickly realized how much we loved ranch life.
Yeah.
And the feeling of working together as a family, you know, it wasn't easy, but it was so rewarding at the end of the day. The kids were just wild and barefoot and free and working and helping us, and we saw them becoming so much more capable. So it was only about 2 months of commuting back and forth that we were like, this is home.
And had he worked on a ranch before?
So my husband's dad was a farmer in Southern California and then in Tehama County, but farming is a lot different than ranching. Growing crops versus raising animals. Yeah. So he hadn't had any experience with ranching, and you know, we'd grow our own hay and pastures, add a little garlic to this pan. Great. Fragrant.
Yeah. So we're adding the garlic towards the end because we don't want it to burn. It's more delicate. Well, I'm excited to talk about the beef because I feel like I don't know what makes a great ground beef. Can you tell me?
I would love to. This is a subject I'm passionate about.
Okay, great.
My husband and I really believe the highlight of our ranch. Yeah. We raise premium cattle for great steaks. We raise Black Angus cattle, and we pick cattle for genetics for great quality steaks. So this is like steak quality ground beef. A lot of times ground beef is trim. It could be from older dairy cows. You don't really know kind of where it's coming from. This ground beef is all sourced from one animal, and that animal is fed and finished for great quality steaks. It's really hard to make an exceptional ground beef, and that is what we strive for. It's really important to us that the animal standards of care are there all the way through the end. Yeah. And that care continues on to the quality in our product. So we do something called dry aging, and that's also what really stands us apart in the ground beef. The aging breaks down the protein so that it gives the beef more flavor and tenderness. And the difference in the flavor that you get from that dry aging is really phenomenal. So these are what we call chubs. This is like the traditional butcher's way of packaging ground beef. They can be a little tricky to open. I think that you want to cut the top off, but the easiest thing to do is take your knife and just slice it all the way down the middle. Okay. Sharp knife always helps. These 5-2 knives are beautifully sharp today. Peel it open and pop it in here.
All right. Our potatoes are ready, so I'm going to take them off and drain them.
And I'm just going to break up this ground beef and incorporate the onions, carrots, the celery, the garlic, all the yumminess.
So can you talk about the way the beef is ground? Because are you particular about like the texture that you achieve and like how do you do it?
Yes, it's a really interesting topic, and this is why having our own butchery has been like life-changing because we get to be a part of that whole process. Where you used to send your animals off, you get back what you got in the packages, and now there is a lot of science to how you make ground beef. And what we've found the secret is, besides the dry aging, is really sharp, cold blades. Cuts or grind really smoothly without smear. So we like to have nice white fat chunks, nice clean ground trim in our ground beef.
Nice. Can you tell us about, the ranch isn't your only business. I mean, you alluded to the restaurant, but it sounds like you're like kind of, you're building out lots of different arms of related to the ranch?
My husband is great because he thinks big like I do. We say we're go big or go home kind of people. When we see an opportunity that fits in line with our lifestyle and our brand and what we believe in, we love to jump on it. And we came from entrepreneur restaurant world in Silicon Valley and said, we're never doing a restaurant again because they are hard. Restaurants are not easy. But the town bar came up for sale. It was pre-prohibition, 1800s, this beautiful old building.
The temptation was there.
It was there. And we were like, if we don't do this, I don't know if anybody is. So we took over the Old Town Bar and rebranded it as Five Mary's Burger House. The menu's built around really great ground beef, burgers, pastas. We do some pot roasts and kind of some dinner dishes too. Our ground beef is browned and sauteed, so we can turn this off.
Great.
And we're gonna pour off a little bit of fat.
Okay.
Like I said, you never know when it's ranch raised how much fat you're gonna get, and there's not too much in here.
There's not very much. I was kind of winging it. I hope I did your recipe correctly. But
I'm sure you did amazing.
I drained the potatoes, I warmed some milk, added 4 tablespoons of butter, mashed it all up, and it looks like it's ready to be a nice topping.
It looks amazing.
And I didn't taste it yet, but
we need a little salt in it.
Let me see,
that's delicious. No, I think it's plenty salty.
Okay, great.
All right, so our mashed potatoes are ready. Our ground beef filling mixture is ready. I'm gonna put a little bit more of our spice rub in now that this beef is all browned.
Okay.
And now we are going to add the tomato paste.
Yeah, so we're gonna do this little experiment.
We are.
Yeah, we're iterating. Okay.
It's founders experimenting in a kitchen day.
Exactly. Mary usually adds tomato paste and broth at the same time, but this time we're gonna add the tomato paste and saute it a little bit to caramelize it and kind of deepen the flavor and coat the meat, and then we'll add the broth.
But this looks nice and caramelized.
I think it looks great. Let's add the broth.
Add the broth.
Yeah.
So this is some Five Mary's beef broth.
Yeah. Just putting our peas on the side and then the reveal of what I think is the secret ingredient, don't you?
Yeah, it definitely gives it a little kick.
Yeah,
I know.
love Worcestershire sauce. I feel like it's an underappreciated condiment.
And you pronounce it better than I do.
What do you call it?
I just kind of like fade out at the end, like Worcestershire. Well, we raise Berkshire, so I just want to say like Worcestershire, but it's Worcestershire, right?
I grew up calling it Worcestershire. So,
Worcestershire.
You know, it's one of those. You can make it your own.
So we're gonna add a little Worcestershire sauce in there. That looks great.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, it is kind of a secret ingredient. It's a little non-traditional.
I love it.
But it gives it a nice
kind of color.
Hearty, homey kick. Then we're gonna add the frozen peas.
Okay, I think we got everything else. What has been the hardest thing about like this huge like life change and like new industry and everything that you've taken on that you didn't like expect?
There's been a lot of hard things. It's a learning curve, and every day there's heartbreak. You know, there's things that humble you, like raising animals is a really hard thing, especially when you're passionate about not taking shortcuts and doing it right. And my husband is very passionate about always doing the right thing. There's a lot of days where you're just like, man, this is hard. And you know, animals die and things happen unexpected. At the end of the day, we're out there doing it together as a family. And when you can put your own meat on the table that you raised from start to finish, all the way through the butchery process, you know, there's actually not another ranch in the country that's doing the complete process from starting to raise it through this USDA butchery and shipping it to people. Seeing people all over the country putting our meat on their table and enjoying it and saying, this is the best ground beef I've ever had, that really makes it worth it at the end of the day. All right, we're ready to put this together.
All right, here we go. This is a little teamwork action. Okay.
So I like to use a pie pan for this. This Le Creuset is gonna be perfect here. Scalloped edge will make it pretty with those potatoes.
I'm getting all the aromas, so
I think you're in a good spot.
I was gonna say, I think I have the lucky job here.
Okay,
all right,
got it all.
Good. Awesome.
So we're gonna start with your beef filling in the bottom here. And then we're gonna add the potatoes. And depending on what size you're doing, I usually like to double this recipe and make like a big one because like I said, the leftovers are delicious.
Yes.
Perfect.
And so do you do any variations, like at different times of year, like different veg or?
Yeah, this is a really forgiving recipe. So, you know, if you've got some garden veggies, you could put them in there. You can use multiple kinds of meat. Like I said, you know, the shepherd's pie is traditionally lamb. We raise a really delicious heritage lamb.
Oh,
so
you do?
sometimes I
Okay.
will mix lamb and beef.
Oh, nice.
But it's nice to have a recipe that works kind of for both.
Yeah.
So I try to get the potatoes kind of spread as much as you can, and then it's kind of nice to do a little fork pattern on the top because this top will get nice and brown, and
so you're giving like
makes
little,
it pretty.
like kind of crags to get crisp.
Exactly, and put some butter in there.
Nothing is complete without a few last dabs of butter.
Yeah, just a little butter on the top.
So do you raise any kind of vegetables or on the farm also?
We raise.
Not to add another farm chore for you. Just curious.
Well, a lot of our summer is dedicated to irrigating our pastures to really grow grass to feed our animals.
Yeah.
But we do have usually a nice big garden at home.
We do.
This summer, I didn't get a garden in. My girls are competitive in rodeo, which is this Western horse sport. And they are at that age where we only have 2 more years with all of them home, so we're like rodeo all the time. But usually we have a nice big garden.
And I would imagine also like some local other farms around.
Yes.
You can
There's
maybe barter.
Lots of zucchini left on the porch.
All right, so we're gonna put it in a 375-degree oven. You're basically just kind of warming it through and crisping the top, right?
Yep, it's all cooked, so you really just want to get a nice little brown on the top, melt that butter, and it's ready to go.
And then we can eat. Our favorite moment has arrived.
I know, the finished product.
Look at that. Lots
so
of nice
good.
brown, crisp bits.
It looks really buttery.
Yeah. Last question for you. So you must have a lot of entrepreneurs who come to you for advice. What is it like? Do you have like three tips that you like to give to people?
I love this question. And yes, my favorite thing to tell entrepreneurs is a very simple phrase, but it's you can do it. Because I think so many of us get stuck thinking, oh, I have this great idea, but I'd have to hire a web designer and somebody to do this and somebody to do this and a graphics person. And it's like, no, you can do it. You know, with all these tools we have now on the internet and with Adobe, like you can create a graphic, you can create a logo, you can create a brochure, you can build a website in a day. You just have to go do it. So I like to tell people that like you don't wait for anybody else. If you have an idea and want to be an entrepreneur, just go for it. And those are really important skills for an entrepreneur to be able to do those things themselves.
I mean, it's the most important, yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. There's never a better time than today. And things happen quickly. So when you have an idea, the opportunity will pass you by if you don't just go for it. And I think it's important to find community, find other entrepreneurs, find other people that are in the same area that you are so that you can find that support, because that's a really important part when you are starting a business.
Yeah, right, because it can be lonely.
It can.
Yeah.
It can. It can be tough. All right, what do you think?
Sorry, I just keep going ahead. It's just, I can't resist. I think it's fantastic.
Delicious.
It's really, really delicious. The meat is so good.
It's a great combination. This is it's a great dish any time of year. You kind of think of it as a winter dish, but it's good all year.
I've been a big fan of your videos. And if you haven't yet seen Mary's videos, you can check out more episodes of Raised on the Ranch down here. There's a playlist. And if you'd like to see more Founders Files, there's also a playlist here too. So hope you'll hang around and cook some more food with us.
Cheers.
Yes, cheers.